It does. It really does.
Right, get the blankie on.
It's actually not that cold.
Yeah, it's quite nice in here now.
It's the radiator.
Yeah, but I just like being all kind of cushy and...
I do.
Ugh.
I do. I think we need to put the legs down, maybe. We seem to be
hold on.
bouncing today.
Hold on, do we usually keep those big spotlights on?
Yeah.
Do we?
Yeah.
Oh,
Of course we do. There's nothing. It's like nighttime recording.
Oh no, that's almost like a bedtime story. Like,
Oh my God, stop it. We could read bedtime stories.
Oh
The animal welfare bill.
that would send you to sleep. Right, Charlotte, let's get into it.
I don't even know what episode we're on.
Oh, that's
22.
22.
What is new? It's raining. It's miserable. Nothing's changed. We're at the end of January. I'm so pleased.
Oh, it's been a long January.
It's been stressful, yeah. I'm ready for it to be over. I'm ready for spring. I'm ready to start seeing daffodils and bulbs coming up.
We've got
I'm ready for
snowdrops.
the wood pigeon to start making noises in the garden and thinking, oh, I'm lying here in the morning. Spring's coming. It's on its way.
Do you know one thing that I know sheep don't love being in the rain and whatever, but they just kind of stand it. My hens hate the rain. They look so miserable. I've got Buff Orpingtons. If you don't know what they are big,
Cute.
fluffy, amazing. But their fluff is quite low to the ground. So they just get wet. I've got some Brahmas which have fluffy, and they're not
Feet.
fluffy feet, feathered feet. And also they're completely free range. So actually they do spend a lot of time in the sheds, like in the straw shed, for example. So they're dry, but they just look so blum and miserable.
Meanwhile, I have one hen with one wing.
One wing.
Yeah, years ago. She's years old.
I didn't know this.
Yeah, she was taken. Yeah, she was. I think a fox tried to get her. Either that or Peggy. But I'm sure it was a fox. We'll blame the fox. We'll blame the fox. Yeah, and I found her in the morning with like absolute blood everywhere, and she was on her side. And I thought, oh my goodness, this poor hen. Yeah, she ended up. Her wing was taken off. I never found the wing. And yeah, I thought, oh, it'll die. It's a hen. It'll die.
Yeah.
No, I nursed her back to health. And she's now the most healthy, egg-laying chicken.
Oh, of course.
Just lording it over the cows. She walks along the feed fence, pecking the cows' noses away to get the feed.
Stop. Oh, she knows what she's doing. We had one which it hadn't gone to bed. Usually hens, if you don't have hens, when you first get them, you'd close them into the hut or the run or whatever that you were wanting to keep them in. And then if you're having them completely free range like ours are, after 3, 4, 5 days, they know that that's their home. So you let them out, they'll wander around all day and they'll take themselves back to bed, which is quite something when apparently we're told hens are so stupid. Well, anyway, this one was stupid, proving the point. She didn't go to bed. Anyway, it was, we'd gone out in the dark for some reason and I can't remember whether we'd maybe counted them in the hut and thought there's one missing or anyway, just walking across this field and there was this kind of dark, shadowy lump. Anyway, it was this hen. She'd obviously been half caught by the fox.
Oh, no.
And had a chunk taken out of her back. And so the trauma unit ensued. She's brought inside, wound flushed out. She's got creams on. She's got a spray on it. Anyway, well, she's died now. This was a long time ago. But nursed her back to health as well.
I know.
What? Oh, we are a bit... Oh, no, we're not so... No, we just care.
Well, really, ours is not a productive animal. She just lords it around the place. She actually, do you know what? I'm quite fond of the hen.
Oh, you know what I'm like with my hens?
She's
though?
around everywhere. Well, one of yours nearly got squashed by a bale, didn't it?
Oh my God, this was...
The trauma.
This was trauma. It takes quite a lot to make me cry. I did have a few tears. So,
well, she was hiding in a really stupid place.
Well, yeah, she'd managed to squeeze in between some bales, and I knew that they were laying there. So I was gathering the eggs every day. They'd go in, lay, and whatever. Anyway, my dad. This is not blaming my dad, but he was at the helm of the loader, and he went to grab some straw, and in grabbing a couple of the bales, just pushed the bales in. Unbeknown to him, he's not obviously aware of every hen and its whereabouts in the tragic way that I am. Anyway, so this hen had obviously been laying her eggs or whatever. And
he squashed
her. So then, obviously next day or whatever, went to gather the eggs.
Where's my hen?
And I was like, I swear the gap was there. So the gap was in between, bales 1 and 2, not bales. I was looking up and down this stack and I was like, shit. Anyway, I got the dog and I was like, Ralph, because I thought, what happens if she's there? I was like, Ralph, find Lemmy. She obviously has a name. I was like, find Lemmy. She's a lemon pile Brahma. So
okay, got it. Yeah, makes sense.
I was like, find Lemmy. Anyway, he found her. And then I'm there like beside myself. I'm crying, screaming, sprinting in. You've killed Lemmy. And I didn't have any loader keys in my pocket, so I was like, you've killed her. Anyway, you would not believe it. The bales have been squished together just enough that she can't get out, and she was a bit like,
squashed.
Yeah, she was a bit. Anyway, absolutely fine. Went on to be broody. She's got a couple of chicks.
What about her eggs?
The eggs weren't really.
Oh, they weren't salvageable.
No. But she was. And she lives to tell
her.
the tale.
See, hens are stronger than you think.
But why was I crying about a hen? I've just admitted that to her. Right, Charlotte, should we get...
Just admitted that to lots of people. We have lots of listeners. Do you know that?
It's quite something, isn't it?
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And it's rolling on. It's good.
What I find fascinating...
But we're getting listeners without the clickbaity... which is the bit that I'm enjoying, that I don't have to get my kit off or...
We're not saying the most controversial stuff to then... Yes, if we do a reel, we want you to watch the reel and think, yes,
funny.
I'll listen to the episode or whatever. But we actually haven't been so good on our... But we are... Now we're linked up with BKT and Kirby Tyres. Obviously, we're going to be posting more social... And just getting on board with that full kind of package of catching people who want to watch a reel on Instagram, people who want to listen to a podcast episode, plus people who want to watch the full thing on YouTube as well. So
the YouTube videos are doing delightfully well, actually.
Well,
I'm very surprised.
Yeah, it's nice.
I can't believe people... Like, I thought YouTube was action, tractors. I never thought that, thousands of people would sit down and watch us sat here.
Do you know what I was
Not moving, just
I was
talking.
thinking, though, it's perhaps people who are doing some bits and bobs on their laptop, and it's easier just to click into
stick it on in the
YouTube on the
background.
computer than maybe if they don't have Spotify or whatever, is what I was
Well,
thinking.
I must admit, I watch Cammie's Fed by Farmers YouTube videos.
Yeah, not listen to them.
I don't listen to them on Spotify.
Ah, that's interesting.
I know, I watch them on YouTube.
That is interesting. What I also find interesting, we're still getting listens on episode 1. People are still evident. Well, hopefully they
People are
start
still commenting on episode 1.
Yeah, it's quite something, really, isn't it? But anyway, right, let's get into it.
Solar powers.
This is an article that we found, and it was talking about sheep farmers grazing under solar panels. Now, solar panels don't particularly have a good... particularly when they're taking up swathes of agricultural land, solar panels have had pretty bad press.
Well, there must be a big solar farm coming around here because we've just had a letter.
Yeah, you sent that letter.
I wish I'd have brought it in. It basically said, we have identified some of your land for solar. And it's near what's going to be one of our current... I'm presuming they've put planning in for a solar farm somewhere that I've not noticed. And they've got spare capacity.
How interesting. Well, this...
Obviously answers no.
Yeah.
But then again, why should it be no?
Do you remember when we spoke at Ludlow Races?
Yes.
And we're kind of talking about the future of farming, really a big topic. But I can't quite remember how we got onto it. But I think I said something along the lines of, if you say yes to a solar farm or a solar development or housing to keep your farm going, or basically to get out of farming and to give you some money, we can't blame people for doing that.
There's no shame in it.
Anyway, somebody came up to me afterwards and said, that's what we've done. We had to do it. We were pushed to do it by the state of farming.
I know.
It's not something we'd have wanted to farm every acre of our land for the rest of our lives.
Well, it's like everyone who jumped into the SFI things and all of the, when they gave all their farm over to whatever, nature, wildflower, bird seed mix things. Were we to blame them? You're being offered money.
Yes.
Why would you not take it?
Yeah. And to have a life which, so driving up here...
I mean, it was open, like Ollie Harrison said at the time, the scheme was open to everyone. You could have done the same.
Yeah. Driving up here, sideways rain, fog and cloud
Stay more in it.
Yeah, grim. And there was a farmer feeding their sheep, that classic image, but couldn't even see their face. They've got hood up, waterproofs on, leggings on, wellies on. I know we say that you can get some good water, but all the rest of it. But let me tell you, if you've been out in that driving rain you will be wet down to your skin. You don't warm up for basically days. And you think, who are we to blame farmers for going down a different income stream route when actually farming isn't paying the bills? It's zapping your life away. It ages you mentally, physically, it ages your relationship, it puts strain on family situations. You can't, and also then that's before you even add in the inheritance tax side of things, succession, if there's family members beyond the farm who almost want their share of the farm and the farm can't be split up. There's so many factors which mean that ultimately...
We have very much had this conversation recently, as people will know, Ro's dad died on Boxing Day, which was pretty fucking shit, to be fair. It was an absolute kick in the guts. And we have said, we were looking at putting a third robot in. We were like, let's plough on, let's get more cows. And Ro's like, nah.
You already basically don't have a life.
We don't.
And the days you spend off the farm, Roy's working double time and you're out trying to earn extra income doing some other speaking event
We've
or
never
engagement.
been on holiday. The last time we went on holiday, I think, was like 2014. We went to Spain with Jane Rain. No, we didn't. We went to Spain with Jane. We did. Jane and June and Anna when she was a baby, me and Roy, and we went to Spain. We got a little villa. That was last time we went on holiday, 2014, for 3 days.
What pisses me off is people say, "Oh, well, you went to the Farmers Guardian Awards. That was on holiday," and it's like, no, it's not, because part of the reason
it's
that
a night out, geez, calm down.
And also, some of the reason that you're there is also Farmers Guardian want to have an interview with you and get some footage or whatever, and you're
and it's a pride
equally
thing as well. The fact that we've been invited,
but it's not a holiday. It does wind me up. Just because
Listen, I won't be paying to go to, no offence to Farmers Weekly, but I won't be paying to go. It's bloody expensive.
But just because you leave the farm does not mean it's a holiday and it's a break from what's going on.
We've had such a good time, but God, they've missed out.
Yeah. You've got space, fresh air, good food, outdoors, animals, things which a lot of people would give so much for, but you also do not have the luxury of time.
And freedom at all.
Yeah.
At all. Even going out somewhere for a meal was, it's the stress of, it is
you've got to get worked up early and then make sure you showered.
Sense of anxiety to know that, right, I've got to get done early tonight and I've got to do this and I've got to do that. Oh my God, you've not done the carbs. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And we are, and sadly that just is the way that me and Roy are built. We are very much that heightened up there kind of people. We can't help it. It's just who we are. And to get anywhere, it is an ordeal.
Yes, yeah.
And maybe it does work for some people. But we do feel, it has been an eye opener the last couple of weeks. We've definitely reevaluated how far we want to push.
Yes, yeah.
Ourselves. I mean, God, Roy's 42, is he?
Yeah.
I'm 37.
You're not getting any younger.
Say it, I'm not 25 anymore.
Yeah, it's really important. And actually, I think you do see some sad instances of farmers.
My life is just going to have disappeared.
Yeah, and farmers who have worked their bodies to literally nothing, they don't retire because, yes, you can say that they don't want to, and some of them don't want to, but there are many farmers who would like to take it slower when they get to 60, 70, 80. God forbid,
why shouldn't they take the solar panel offer?
Absolutely.
Where they lease your land for God knows how long. You still get the option to graze underneath it.
Yeah.
I mean, does that work? Does grazing underneath it work?
So this was a Guardian article and they kind of framed it as solar grazing is good for sheep farmers, renewables and society versus is it just a PR exercise? Does it actually work? Does it work in practice? So I thought if I just set the scene with solar at the moment, the total UK land area is about 24.4 million hectares. And government and all the solar industry estimates that solar could use up to 0.4% of UK land by 2030, which means about 97,600 hectares out of 24.4 million. So sometimes I think the numbers make it feel like every acre of farmland is getting solar put on it. That isn't.
It's if you go down the bloody main line.
Well, some of it is. There's definitely some hotspot areas for it, aren't there? I think one thing that people perhaps also aren't aware of is that you can, have land compulsory purchased or acquired for solar.
I didn't know
think
that.
if it's an NSIP, is that right? Nationally significant infrastructure project. So if they're saying that this solar farm is absolutely vital to power this town or whatever it is, then that farmland can be.
Crank up the power stations a bit more.
Apparently, there's still less land used for solar farms than for golf courses. Fun fact.
If they just put solar panels on building roofs, I can't. I can't.
There's so many that every home should basically be able to. I mean, I know flats present a different challenge with that because you're not having that relative roof space to the.
No, but if every roof was utilised, or near as much, if every roof was utilised, surely. But it's just too much paperwork to be able to get around that many people, I think.
One thing, this is probably not to get into now, but I thought it's quite interesting, the idea of grazing sheep under solar panels. Where does that sit with vegans or vegetarians who don't eat meat for kind of environmental reasons? Now, if we've got the environmental big tick in the box of solar panels, renewable energy, but then there's the second thing of sheep grazing it, which are used for meat production.
Rebecca, these are the same people who say that shearing a sheep is taking its skin off. Let's not even pretend that they will understand.
I think for farmers, it's we have a real sense of link culturally, heritage, even just that emotional tie, or even just the God, I've worked bloody hard on those fields for the last 50 years. To see land being taken away. And it is often good agricultural land, flat land, because you're not putting really solar panels up on, some fell somewhere.
I think the Conservative Party conference was very interesting when you looked at how much the UK is pushing for green energy and the uselessness of it.
Yeah, yep.
It's just a pointless, honestly.
The article estimated that on a typical site, I don't know what typical means, but it said that managing the grass, mowing, spraying, blah blah whatever, would cost up to £50,000 annually. So actually, for the solar companies, it's better to get sheep grazing on it, because you're reducing those costs significantly. But we have.
Listen, I've left a trailer in a field with sheep before, with a brake cable. Or lights.
I've thought this. Won't they chew it and rub on it?
Nibble cables. Let's just be careful here.
Well, the article. So it focused a fair bit on a lady called Hannah, first generation sheep farmer. She started with 18 acres and 20 sheep. Now grazes 250 acres, including land used for solar panels, and she has over 200 sheep. So I actually got in touch with Hannah. She's got back to me with some voice notes. And I think, well, should we just play some of them? We may not have a chance to listen to all of them. But if you're interested to hear more from Hannah, in Inkpot Farm, INKPOT, Inkpot Farm.
Oh, is that who that is?
Yes.
I saw her on Instagram.
Anyway, so yes, I asked a few questions. These are...
How I found working alongside solar companies there's only one solar company, or actually the solar panels that we graze has changed management, so it's two solar companies. Because my relationship is with the landlord rather than with the company who have the solar panels on their land. My agreement is with the landlord, not with the solar company. However, we rub along really well, I think, because for their security, we all have to share padlock codes. We all need to know the numbers, and so they've got cameras up everywhere because we graze under millions of pounds worth of solar panels. Quite mind-boggling, really. And so how it works on a day-to-day basis, as I'm going into the solar panels, I'll ping a little WhatsApp over to the site manager to let them know that I'm going in. And so that can kind of disarm any security system or anything. They turn the cameras off apparently, when we're in there.
Now, I actually think hats off to her that she is happy to go through that.
I know, I could genuinely, every time I went in a field to text someone.
Yeah, that process every time.
But if it's your grazing, you need it. Yeah,
I think actually that's one point I was going to make in that if grazing is unaffordable, unobtainable, you've got sheep, grazing is lost, and you just need somewhere to put them. That's a small sacrifice to make, isn't it? Really. I
wonder how grass grows under them.
Well, do you think? I would say on the angle of them, at some stage, surely they won't shadow too much. Maybe I should have actually asked her that question, shouldn't I? Right, let's hear from Hannah again.
So, is the grazing setup that I have more viable than other ways of accessing land for new entrants? Not necessarily. No, I don't really think so, because I'm paying the going rate for the grazing land as I would whether there were solar panels in that field or not. The one side of it is it's very well fenced, and so because it keeps humans out and deer out, and so the fencing is very sheep proof, and that's probably the one real kind of upside, so that it's not just an empty field. But if you were renting land at that price, you would normally expect it to be fenced as well. So I don't think for us, because there's as there is across most of the country, I'm sure, a high demand for land. It's not easy to come across land that's available to rent or to buy, and so we're grateful for whatever land we can get hold of. And
I think that kind of sums it up, doesn't it? If you can get the land.
So they're still paying the going rate despite there being absolute tons of a roof on your land.
Well, also, is the landlord getting a double whammy then?
Yes, he is. Is it because we're not let tenants is the word?
Yes.
Or grass tenants?
Yes.
As such, we're not grass tenants.
So that almost the concept of...
Well, we're looking at it from a landlord's perspective.
Yeah.
You're getting 2 bites at the cherry.
I
disagree with that. That's naughty. I'm sorry, Hannah. I think you're getting a really rough deal there. I think you should be getting it for little, or billing him for 50 grand for lawn mowing costs. Him or her.
Let me see a couple more. I think she's really interesting.
Yeah,
it's really interesting to hear from her.
But the fencing's a big bonus.
That's a good point. If anybody has sheep.
Oh, don't. Our farm is severely lacking in the fence department. What we do have fenced is beautiful and double fenced and all really nice, but then the bits that we don't have fenced are dire.
Going back to the whether you get the land, the grazing for free or not, that's interesting because the NSA, so Nicola Noble, she talked about NSA, I should say, is the National Sheep Association. So from the article, free solar grazing was a valuable opportunity for new, younger or smaller farmers, but there's also...
Not with that landlord, it's not.
Well, but there's also a risk of it becoming a PR exercise, a way to make communities more comfortable with planning applications. And she said sometimes solar companies promise to consider grazing at the planning stage, then the grazing never happens. So
what do they do if the grazing doesn't happen?
Well, then they're probably just mowing it, aren't they? I assume. But does the grazing idea make it feel palatable for the community by, the solar companies are saying, well, look, we'll help out a local farmer by having a free grazing rate. So it's good for the environment, it's good for the sheep, it's good for a local farming business, but then not actually follow through on it.
But as Hannah's just highlighted, it's not up to the solar company. It's the landlord's discretion.
No, but that's interesting because
Now, if somebody came and put solar panels on our land, which they're not going to, but if they did, I wouldn't be letting them tell us. Then again, would they specify that when they did it? It's
would
funny,
they
isn't it? If
specify?
they're leasing the land, they're leasing the land. I don't know.
And it'll be very much dependent on the leasing terms, won't it?
Mm.
I actually, when it loads, I sent an email to Lightsource BP Now, they oversee one of the largest sheep grazing programs in the UK. So, hold on. Now, I did watch a video from Lightsource BP, and it did kind of... It felt quite idyllic the way that the video was done, as everything did on solar, as everything does on social media. So Lightsource BP, they are linked to actual BP that you would,
Please,
you know,
anything.
So Lightsource BP is a leading developer, constructor, and operator of onshore renewables and energy storage assets across 5 continents. Anyway, very kindly, they got back to me with some questions that I had, because I thought it would be really interesting to see from the solar company side. Now, I suspect they're not the same company, but that's fine. She actually has sent so much stuff, so I won't be able to go through all of it. But some interesting stuff. Obviously, grazing is very compatible with solar PV. This answers our question. From a design perspective, cabling is kept encased to protect the animals from coming into contact with live components. Sheep are a preferred option for managing the vegetation as opposed to actual, machines, mowers, etc. Contracts are in place to ensure that both parties, the PV plant, so the solar plant, and the grazier are both aligned on the operational aspects. So, for example, the height of the solar panels, it's a minimum of 800 mil to allow free movement beneath the arrays.
Oh, they're quite high
for
up
example. Grazing mixtures are recommended, so that it's best for sheep and obviously for the sword itself. There's recommended stocking densities to balance the ecology and farming needs. A drinking water supply for summer grazing can be installed at build if needed. And this was an interesting point. With increasingly hot summers, we often see sheep enjoying the shade the panels provide, similarly in wet or windy weather. That's a common sense point as well.
I can imagine they like hedges, don't they? But the government have got us keeping sheep out of hedges. So
yeah, exactly. I asked about safeguards to ensure that agricultural use is actually maintained, because obviously, as the NSA put forward, is there a risk that it's just suggested at the planning stage? Anyway, a grazing license is signed at option to lease stage or lease stage. I don't understand everything about this, but and this is for the lifetime of the site.
I have a story.
Responsibilities of both the grazier and solar tenant are held to within the contract, and as long as either are upheld, then she said, that's it. It's a lifetime of the project. It will be grazed.
But it's cheaper than mowing.
Yeah.
I just don't understand how that guy's charging such a fortune.
Go on, story.
I have a story. Story time. Get your broom. My dad killed a cow with his solar panels. Yeah.
Go on.
So my dad's solar panels were they had batteries in the garage outside, and they were on the roof, and they used to, how many times have we mentioned Argas in this episode? They were, so basically he could afford to run his Arga, which was also electric and cost a fortune, and incidentally isn't on. They now have a lovely little Ninja cooker on top. It's quite nice. And there was cows in the field next door. A cow somehow broke into the fence. Like there was like a double fence, broke into the double fence, leaned over and licked the cable out of the wall. I don't know what cable it was, licked it out of the wall, and I presume it was attached to the batteries that was storing the power. And when it licked it, it electrocuted itself and it was stone dead.
Well, and this is exactly it. That cabling, and also probably from, effect like.
And then my dad footed the bill for the cow.
Did he install it?
Yes. But it was on his land.
Yeah, so you wouldn't have...
But still, he killed a cow. I bet it was a nice cow as well, because they are nice cows.
Oh, dear.
I know.
Whoopsie.
Oops.
Whoopsie. I'm going to... A couple more bits from Lightsource BP, because I think it is really interesting to see the other side, that are solar panels the villain that they're made out to be. I mean... There's an MP, Dr. Caroline Johnson, said, our scarce land should be used for the best possible purpose. Using prime agricultural land for solar panels puts food security at risk. But to go back on that, Lightsource BP came and said that local councils often are even more stringent than the national guidance and often don't support planning approval
until
of
they're
solar
paid, and then they
sites.
do.
Well, on grade 1, 2 or 3A land. So these are assurances that you can get in this. I get that. But there will be some places where you are not allowed to take up good agricultural land. But then again, that is a case of the local authority then, isn't it? To have the balls and the conviction of policy to say, we value good farmland.
Did you
for
see
food
that
production.
huge warehouse where the local council were in trouble? Was it in
No.
Wigan?
Didn't see it.
I'll try and find it. We'll talk about it in a future episode. Basically, this huge warehouse had been commissioned, just been
planning?
rushed through. No, it's got planning. Rushed through. It said it wouldn't impact the people. Well, good grief, you want to see it? It's like a skyscraper next to the house.
Oh,
It's
really?
absolutely horrendous. Yeah. Local council are in trouble, really.
Oh dear.
I know.
This slightly answers the point on kind of the relationship. So I asked about can grazing agreements on solar sites support new entrants? And they came back and said, we work with tenant farmers where the landowner has handed over their grazing agreement to those who are just starting out or have smaller flocks they move around between smaller parcels of land. So I'm assuming
It's just all word of mouth by the sound of it, isn't it?
Yes.
So pretty much like what grass is now.
Yeah, exactly. I think this is maybe slightly idealistic. On the larger sites, rotational grazing of smaller flocks can be achieved through collaborative working with the operations and maintenance provider that maintains the site. Like that in practice is difficult, isn't it? I don't know how you electric fence it, because when we talk about rotational grazing on, let's say, a 30-acre field, let's say you made it into 6 5-acre paddocks, that's easy because you just put electric fencing across.
Yeah, you can't do that, can you?
And so I appreciate the sentiment. In theory, does that? In practice, does that work? I have no experience, but I don't know. But a very big thank you to Lightsource BP actually for coming, because that's a global company who have come back to the Little Wilson and Ashley podcast to give some insight on that side. So I think we've got to be very, very grateful to them for coming back to us. But I think, I guess to conclude this section, it's a difficult one. I can see the animosity towards solar panels. I get it. However, if we are being pushed down a route of diversifying income...
If they are giving us money, why shouldn't you?
Why shouldn't you?
Like, we're not going to, because it's not what we're into. But if you want to take that path, no shame.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think...
And I think it will become an ever-pressing issue for farming. I think it's coming.
Yeah, I completely agree.
It's ticking boxes, isn't it?
It is.
Crank up the coal.
I was listening to a podcast and they were talking about Trump. Obviously, there's been a fair bit. Well, he's always in the news, isn't he? But he was talking about the North Sea.
I couldn't stop laughing about his comments last night on British soldiers being the ultimate warriors. Sat there thinking of Henry as like the ultimate warrior.
Yeah. You wouldn't have thought that at the party I saw them all at.
5-year-old warriors.
But Donald Trump was saying that we have 500 years of... Now, I don't believe every word he says, don't get me wrong. He said we have 500 years of oil left in the North Sea, which we're just not bothering to access. And that's obviously why we have absolutely exponentially increased energy prices here, because we're adamantly not using our oil that we have access to. But anyway, that is a topic for another day. Will be. Now, let's take a quick break to hear a little more about our headline sponsor, BKT and Kirby Tyres.
We're genuinely so pleased to have them supporting the podcast. They do a huge amount within the agricultural tyre industry and beyond. And let's be honest, they're literally keeping the wheels of farming turning.
Charlotte, you know about keeping the wheels of farming turning, or shall we say not turning, when you're stuck or spinning, or you get a puncture at exactly the wrong moment.
I don't know what you could be possibly talking about.
But on a serious note, that's where Kirby Tyres come in, bringing over 60 years of experience in tyre and wheel distribution. Their partnership with BKT, spanning nearly 2 decades, combines 2 players at the top of their game when it comes to expertise and service.
BKT and Kirby Tyres supply tyres and wheels across the UK, Ireland and worldwide, working with specialist dealers across agriculture, forestry, earth-moving, industrial, HGV and transport, and they're trusted partners to some seriously well-known machinery manufacturers too.
So we really are glad to have BKT and Kirby Tyres backing the podcast, backing agriculture, and helping make sure Charlotte doesn't get her tractor stuck.
Right.
Let's get back into it.
Let's talk about dairy.
Yeah, this is your area of expertise, Charlotte.
Well, actually, the milk price is not my area of expertise because, honestly, ours is held. Ours is good. We have a good milk price.
Well, should we
It's
go
a bit like kicking a dog when it's down, when everyone else is struggling so much. And I'm like, ours is great. It is.
Should we go straight in with that then? We've read an article by The Guardian. Again, they've created this episode for us. Paul Tompkins, he's a dairy farmer, actually not that far away from me. And the headline is he's losing £1,800 a day milking cows. Before we get into that side of things, and we'll hear from a few listeners and followers, let's just talk about your price, Charlotte, in terms of why it's held, why you're in a unique position, but I guess why you're treading quite a difficult line, because you don't go parading around saying our milk price is all right. It's a difficult conversation to have, isn't it?
As per my contract, I can't tell you what my milk price is. My milk price is good. That's what I'll tell you. It's very good. It always is, always as far as I've known, has been up on everybody else's. Jersey milk is a niche product. The cow is smaller. It gives less milk, but it gives I won't say it's a better quality milk. So when I say that, I mean it's higher in like butter fats and proteins. So it's basically very creamy is what I would describe it as.
Do you not remember when we had that coffee?
I've got some in the fridge if you want a coffee with it.
And it was literally like...
Oh, no, you can't have coffee. We've cut out caffeine.
No, oh yeah, sorry. Yes,
sorry, we're being healthy. Just need to cut out the booze and then we're all right.
Charlotte, that's a step too far. Thank you very much.
Take the wine.
So there's a reason for your
we are
product.
Such a minority. In fact, we are a minority. So I don't know. I once tried to find out how many pure Jersey herds there were, but there's not many of us, to be perfectly honest.
Why do people not have jerseys then?
Because they're a pain in the ass. They're so much smaller. So, for instance, Kelly Seaton did an interview the other day on 5 News. The amount of milk her cows were giving was colossal. I couldn't believe it. Ours is literally half of that.
Really?
They're a smaller animal. They give a lot less milk.
Yeah.
They are renowned for being naughty, petted little SH1Ts, and they live up to every bit of their name. Funny, people say that Jerseys kick a lot. I've got 2 cows that would kick my head in on purpose because they're really nasty, and one of them's tagged 666. Believe it or not.
Stop.
Yeah, she's really nasty. But apart from that, honestly, they're great.
Yes, yeah,
they really are. And I know our milk, our supplier, they're looking for. They'll take jerseys. They will take more Jersey milk. They absolutely love it.
How would you, if you had a more conventional breed, how do you convert?
How the hell do you?
Because you'd have to. There's also a mindset adoption. I would assume a mindset change that you need to adopt, because you would have to go from trying to maximize quantity versus accepting that a lower quantity is okay. Like, that's probably quite hard to do, to drive in such a different direction.
Yeah, I think we found it all right because we'd never milked.
Yeah.
So we just went into it, and what we got was honestly, the first year it was all new. We didn't know what other people's milk prices were. And then it's interesting because I can't really ask many people like what. We've never known anything else, basically.
Yes. Well, let's go back. Probably, hold on, let me just get sat down. Sorry.
Battery went off.
Sorry, yeah. Bloody GoPro.
Like, GoPros aren't brilliant, are they? Let's be honest. I think it was a silly idea. We should probably have looked at
something else.
Well, if we did get like a decent, is it DSLR, whatever? I don't even know.
Charlotte, why are you looking at me to
And then
know
you
the
can
answer?
plug it into the computer and no.
We'll have a look. Going back to the article, okay, so one thing I wanted to illustrate about this is that we can't say that Tompkins here is an outlier or he's a bad farmer or he's inefficient. He's got 500 Holsteins, very kind of traditional commercial dairy cow. He's chair of the NFU dairy board, etc., etc. It would be 100% unfair to say he's just an inefficient farmer. He's just a bad farmer. His costs, he said he can produce milk for about 40p a litre. However, he's only being paid 29p a litre by his milk processor. I find it eye-watering.
Oh.
Now, there are some retailers and processors who do cover costs of production, don't they? There are some of those contracts in existence. But actually, the largest majority of dairy farmers are subject to these fluctuations. Now, if you look at the kind of the numbers of, well, some of the supermarkets, £1.65 for 4 pints, which equates to 41p a pint or 73p a litre. 73p a litre, and the farmer is getting 29p. Now, this is just using these kind of figures. I'm not saying that's exactly the same for every supermarket and every farmer, but you can see that there's a massive difference. And some people are on lower prices than that as well, and could have slightly higher costs. That's a fairly decent size herd.
That's a very decent size herd.
Will be anyway. He said current milk prices, if they carry on as they are now, he's going to make a loss of at least £660,000 this year. How can you go on? Genuinely, I don't know how you go on.
It interests me why it's not I don't think it, you kind of want to say, is it because, just roll pastry are not using milk in their product? It isn't. It's an oversupply of milk. So what I've kind of had it explained to me as is a really dry summer meant that the silage quality was shite. Grass didn't grow. So people were feeding to compensate for that,
like concentrate hard feed effectively.
So basically they were shelling out on a load of feed for one, which cost a fortune, and they were buying their milk basically. So they were keeping production up, but at the cost of, they were literally, it wasn't grass that you were growing, it was feed that you were buying, which is at one hit. So that's hit number one. But that also meant that there was like record breaking, numbers and reserves of milk and all this stuff.
Well, it's interesting. The AHDB, Agriculture Horticulture Development Board, said that more than 7% of extra milk was produced by British farmers in the final 3 months of 2025. So that just shows that there's an oversupply there in the UK. Mike Horton, he's Horton, a farm consultant and partner at Anderson's. They do like farm business consultancy stuff. He said American production is up, New Zealand is hanging in there with their production, and he said a lot depends on China and how much milk they buy. That has not gone up. It all comes together. It's a perfect storm, and there's too much milk. I have though seen, I think some farmers are cynical about the argument of too much milk, because I think they see the processors using that argument as a reason to then basically, how do I explain it? Cut off buying the British milk and they're importing stuff for cheaper. Is that correct?
I would say. I think milk's one of them things it'd be kind of hard to import though as well, really. Yeah, Ireland,
I think more
enough.
In like in when they do like their milk powder, skimmed milk powder and stuff, which goes into products.
Yeah, into processing.
Yes,
and things.
Exactly.
I wonder how we've, if the milk price is really, really good, all the guys have gone, do you know what, I'll make some more money, I'll stick another 100 cows on. And then they've created literally, in essence, our farm, another one of them.
Yes.
And they're oversupplying because the milk price is so good. And then we end up in a glut like this.
Yes.
And everyone goes, oh no, this is terrible.
Things do go in peaks and troughs, but you worry.
But these are massive waves. And then you think back to I was just looking at the milk quota. This is way before my time.
Yes.
It was introduced in April 1984.
Yep.
And it was to cap or limit the maximum amount of milk a farmer could sell annually without incurring a financial penalty. So your levy.
Yes.
I know people who got on the wrong side of the milk quota and they overproduced and ended up in debt and basically owing more money than what that they were making. They're the bad stories. But the milk quota, you had a milk quota and you kept to your quota.
Yes.
And it kept a level supply throughout the...
Yes.
Someone will correct me and tell me that I am incredibly wrong for thinking like this.
And
but
that it's
right
a naive
now,
way of
this
going...
second, from my, rarefied position of having a good milk price for a niche product...
Yes.
Why was that a bad thing?
Yes. Well,
and why did they get rid of it?
Well, and also there's a lot of talk about the Milk Marketing Board, and you see on the kind of Facebook pages of, British farming, whatever on Facebook. That's quite an interesting one because some people are calling for that to come back. Basically, it was backed by the government and set this level price, making sure that, your milk is distributed, etc., produced fairly, blah blah blah, stable price, and I guess the government through the Milk Marketing Board were trying to make sure that, they were trying to reduce the volatility, and that predictability in income, etc., means that you can plan, you can invest, and it also means that you can kind of guarantee an amount of milk being supplied for consumers as well,
but they wouldn't be in this position if everybody kind of had their... And you could buy and sell milk quotas, I think.
It's interesting, isn't it? You're right. It's not something that we probably have that kind of.
But did it make
it?
Experience? Yeah, but then again, would it have counted against us? Would new entrants into the dairy industry be able to get a milk quota? Was it possible for people to pick one up or buy one, for instance, or was it just not attainable?
Yeah. Yes. Let me find this message. I've had a message on Instagram about this topic. What a devastating read. And this is somebody who's involved in the dairy sector and the kind of veterinary sector as well. What a devastating read. How many other industries would be working at losses like that? Also, the focus on the fact the consumer won't be seeing a change in their food prices for around 7 months feels insensitive. How many ultra-processed foods containing milk will...
Bless you. Will.
It's gone. How many ultra-processed foods containing milk will go down in price to subsidise this? I'm sure very few. The bigger question is how many dairy farmers will be left producing in 7 months' time if this downward spiral continues. Feels like they're being punished for the years and generations of breeding gone into creating a high-yielding, healthy animal. And I thought, just picking up on one of the points made there, nearly 20% of British dairy producers have quit since October 2019, according to figures from the AHDB, cutting their numbers.
We jumped in when other people were getting out.
Well, cutting their numbers from 8,720 to 7,010 in just 6 years.
So all there is 7,010 dairy farms.
Now,
so elite.
Horton predicts, that's the chap from Anderson's, predicts that as many as 10% of dairy producers, another 700 farms, could leave the industry for good.
Why would they be doing it? Why, if you are not getting the price, if you're not me, it's like Princess Anne says, if it doesn't pay, we can't stay here.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Here, come to the solar panels.
Yes. Well, interestingly though, the volume of milk produced hasn't actually changed that much and decreased, but obviously a lot of farms are probably getting bigger,
more efficient and bigger, aren't they?
That's exactly it.
We are very unusual, I think.
Yes.
In the way that we operate. I think bigger farms will get bigger and be swallowed up, and we'll all kind of be. If you did want to farm, ancillary little feeder farms, Roy would call them.
Yeah.
Shall we hear from Kelly Seaton?
Let's.
This is Kelly on milk price.
Rebecca, thank you for covering the milk price story. So for us personally, what that means is that since November through to February, we've gone down approximately 8 pence per litre, which equates to us being £19,000 less per month in our milk check from September to February. Internationally, what's happened is that there was obviously blue tongue in Europe, so their milk production was down a little bit. the UK hasn't been affected by blue tongue, touch wood. So we have been up year on year. So we're about 7 to 10% up on 2 years ago in terms of milk volume sales. Last year, on the global market, they could swallow that because the US and Europe were down. But this year, Europe and the US are firing back up again. So there's just too much milk, ultimately. The other impact was that with less grass production, those farmers that would have relied very heavily on grass for milk production have been feeding. So where they would get, say, and this is just ballpark figures, say they would get 14 litres per cow per day, they'd then get more, so 18 to 20 litres per cow per day. But the milk to feed price ratio was beneficial for this. It's just that we're now in a position where genetically and feed conversion wise, everyone is getting more and more efficient, but the processors can't keep up, basically, and also the consumer can't keep up with our production. So yeah, it's a simple matter of too much milk, but lots of different factors that have affected that.
What I find crazy is it's an industry which is almost the victim of its own success by becoming so efficient and whatever. And yes, I guess
if dairy farms are decreasing and farms are increasing their volume by getting more cows and being more efficient, it is an incredible testament to the UK dairy industry, what they can achieve, though.
Absolutely.
I'm not saying that this is good right now.
No.
But, come on, guys, we're doing this is great.
Yes.
Like, this is what people are capable of.
Absolutely. And it just shows...
You know, back in the day with little Emmerdale cows walking around, this was an unheard thing. Emmerdale cows would be getting the same literage I'm getting, never mind what these guys are getting.
And I think dairy farms are definitely at the forefront when it comes to, you know, you look at your robots out there, for example, but particularly when it comes to data gathering in terms of, say, for example, lameness in dairy herds, that is something which dairy farmers are so on it with. Because obviously...
I wish I was more on it.
Well, you're getting there. You haven't had the cows for that long. You're still working through a lot to, you know...
Oh, yeah. It's just, I think realising that a lame cow lying around, it really does make a difference. Or even a cow that's not happy. She won't go to the robot, or honestly, it really does. And one of the biggest things we found that will impact on milk yield is lameness. It's absolutely incredible. And we've just got a new footbath, a Lely walkway. It's called. I've actually not shown anyone really yet. It's still in its packaging around the corner, just because Christmas was so busy. But that's going to be installed, and hopefully that will help alleviate some of our lameness problems. We have like DIGI, which is digital dermatitis. And going through like a solution every day, or you do. The thing is, if you so we have a cow that goes through the robots 35 times a day. She's an arsehole. She needs to go, but we're low on cow numbers, so she can't. She's got to stay. She knows where the peanuts are, and she wants them peanuts, and she just keeps going round and round and round. So that cow,
does she get any if she doesn't milk?
No, she doesn't. She gets kicked out, but because she knows if she's fast, she gets the leftovers from what the previous cow left.
She's clever.
She's very clever.
She's clever.
So if there's a footbath in front of that robot, that cow's going through the footbath 35 times a day. And if a cow goes through the robot 6 times a day, for instance, or 3 point something, it's going through the footbath that many times a day. So ideally, you'd only want them really to be going through the footbath, a clean footbath, once, like every 2 days or something. You wouldn't want it every day. So then you divert that cow. So it will be brilliant, and it'll be a game changer for us, and we really think it will help with our lameness issue, which we do have. Stu, the foot guy, absolutely brilliant. I never thought that it would be on my radar to be dealing with lame cows. You didn't deal with lame suckler cows.
They're in a dairy cows are often
like, who do I think I am?
A different environment. But that data thing is vital, and I think dairy farmers are ahead of the curve of some other sectors in farming on that data, and therefore that's pushing forward productivity. And I guess the cows are managed dairy cows are managed in a much more different way, often, albeit having robots, a more hands-on way than if you've got sheep out in a field. Yes, you'll go round them, but you're not necessarily as close to them and hands-on with them every single day like
I dare
you
say
are.
you are.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I do like to be. One thing which I thought was interesting from this article, the chief executive of the consultancy Allegra Group, but this was a nod to the consumer impact. Milk and dairy are a significant cost, but far and away not the only one. Rent and people costs are way more substantial. The minimum wage is going up again. Chains might reduce their price increases, but it's unlikely that lower prices will be passed on to consumers. So what he's citing there is that there's so many other factors that effectively consumers aren't going to feel any of it.
That's ridiculous.
Oh, I might just put my little
Put your little toes on this. Is it warm?
On there.
Oh, it's warm.
Oh, it is warm.
It's warm.
Oh,
it's
lovely.
warm.
This is the thing when we sit though, because usually we're sprinting around.
I
It's
know.
weird
You
just
get
to sit
cold
down.
feet and cold hands. My hands have gone like white.
My hands are just. Let's not look at the state of my hands.
Lambing.
One thing I want to ask then, if consumers are not necessarily going to have a price reduction in the supermarket on the shelf, why is it always farmers who absorb the cost of the food or the price drop or whatever it is?
I know we seem to take a hit from every
From
single
every
side,
single
don't we?
thing. Yes.
Woe is us. It's so true, though. We always are the ones that bear the brunt.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. I think, and it was a point made in the message that we had, for an industry and a sector to be repeatedly and consistently month after month not covering its costs of production does call into question genuinely how much are farmers and domestic food security valued. Because if we're not functioning in a system which, we're not all asking for record profits and, but to cover your costs of production is absolutely vital. And I think it's quite worrying to me because, yes, we might end up having super farms. Do consumers want super farms? I don't know. I thought we were scathing of those, so...
Oh, I thought we were scathing of super farms.
I thought we were.
Or do we want their efficiency?
Well, this is
I mean, what do we
you
want?
Can't have
do you
it
want
all.
to reduce your carbon footprint by being more efficient and genetically this, that and the other?
Do you want a bit closer to you,
Should we just take the heater to us?
Yes.
Should we just bring it over here?
Yes. One thing I did want to talk about is the Dairy Farming and Dairy Products Bill. So Sarah Dyke is MP for Glastonbury and Somerton. I think she might be a farmer as well. I don't know if I've made that up. But anyway, she's aiming to get a bill through Parliament which protects farmers from the sort of price fluctuations that we're seeing at the moment.
That's a good idea.
She wants the bill to ensure fairness for farmers. And particularly when farmers are competing against the imports from other countries. That's one thing which really, and that happens not just in dairy. But
surely this should be common sense from the government to protect their own.
Charlotte.
Yeah, sorry.
Charlotte.
Yeah, sorry.
So I will just, kind of to summarise what this bill would look for. It would want to protect UK dairy farmers in trade deals, stronger labelling when there's imported milk, cheese and dairy products, fair dealing provisions across the dairy supply chain and contractual protections for dairy farmers. So when they're negotiating contracts, etc., farmers have a stronger position, and also just helping to insulate and prevent unfair terms or just sudden drops in prices.
Yeah.
Which then actually, if farmers have to roll with a gradual price change,
Like, how are you meant to plan
then
the future of your
this is
business
it.
when you don't know
Invest.
what you're going to be paid? It's crazy.
I just want to touch, and again, we are over an hour, and I'm really sorry, everybody. I want to touch, Charlotte,
I hate
on...
to say it, my robot's ringing me.
You're joking.
No.
Do you know what? I saw that screen, and I was like, I know that's the robot screen.
I was like, what?
They're really feeding into the dairy
What's
vibes.
wrong with you? What do you want? Go away.
Charlotte, we sometimes see these kind of sensationalist, really like almost clickbaity headlines of farmers dumping milk. What does that mean, and why do they end up doing it? Why are they pushed to do it?
I think processing issues. I think that the sensationalist kind of headlines were sensational. I think it was unprecedented to need to do that. Basically, the company couldn't take the milk. It couldn't process it fast enough. They were still being paid for the milk. It's not like the milk was being dumped and they weren't being paid. They were being paid for it, but the processor couldn't just physically couldn't take the volume of milk, so they were being told to let it down the drain. A crying shame, honestly, ridiculous. But it just
but of course, your cows are still. You can't just switch off the cow's milk production overnight. They still have to keep getting milked. Well, I guess sometimes I feel like we try and give a nod to what consumers can do, and albeit you're not going to be able to change the situation single-handedly, it definitely is buying direct if you can, making sure that, I guess, you are still consuming as much milk as you can, and if you're eating products with milk in, making sure that hopefully
just be nice to your farmers.
Milk. Absolutely. Well,
really all they want is just don't hate farmers.
Oh, well, very in keeping with the tone of the episode. Looks like we're going to go to the shed and see what the robot is telling us. But as always, if you enjoyed today's episode, learned something, had a laugh, please do leave us a review and share the podcast with your friends.
Love you long time. See you next time.
Bye.